I'm back, everybody. Thanks for watching. I'm here tonight with my very worn out looking makeup because I want to show you a cool trick to refresh your makeup that I discovered / invented perhaps a few weeks ago. If you're anything like me, your makeup does not look awesome at the end of the day, in particular the foundation. And if you're at work and you have somewhere to go afterwards, like a work event or a party or after work drinks, you don't necessarily want to go out with your face looking like you just worked a 10-hour day. But you also don't have time to completely redo your face. And so I have a trick that you can do in the bathroom after work that will make your makeup look as if you have just applied it, or at least pretty close. And it's really easy. All you need is a damp beauty blender, a few Q-tips, your powder of choice, ideally a brush, and some concealer if you're feeling really, really fancy. And I think it's fairly easy to have these things in your bag, especially if you have a beauty sponge like the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge or a beauty blender with a case, so you can just stash it right in your purse. So, looking at my face right now, I get oily around the center of my face. My foundation around here still looks good, but around here it's shiny and it's rubbed off my nose a little bit, it's kind of shifted, doesn't look nice. And also I wear glasses, so the foundation around here has kind of moved around and it really doesn't look very good. So to start, you want to take a Q-tip and take off anything that is smudged. So sometimes my mascara flakes a little bit, especially if it's getting old or it's like things have collected in the corner of my eye. It's kind of gross. You want to get that out. It's not nice. So just get a mirror, get a Q-tip, get rid of all the gunk. And if you've smeared a little bit under your eyes, which, you know, happens, just take your Q-tip and get rid of that stuff because you don't want to be piling on top of that. So the more layers you have on your face, the more cakey and old you are likely to look. The next thing is to take your damp beauty blender and just start pressing into your skin. I know that we haven't added any product, but this is a way to take the natural oils from your skin and the product that is there and kind of mix it together and even it out. Maybe that sounds gross, I don't know. I do know though that just taking powder and putting it on top of not very fresh looking foundation when like the oils have kind of made it shift a little bit and there are little bald spots from where my glasses have been, can just make it look cakey and gross and not very good. And it's slightly better than if I didn't do any touch-ups at all, but it's still not great. I can really tell that my foundation does not look fresh. So I'm just going to take my time and press. Just sort of, if there's makeup that's shifted, it sort of presses it back into my skin, distributes it evenly, helps absorb a little bit of that oil that's on my skin. And that's already looking a lot better. Now, oh, there's a little bit right there that collected because of my glasses, and I'd actually rather just wipe it off than powder over top of it. So I'm taking that sponge and I'm almost wiping it off. Voila. Now, if there are parts of the face that are really, really looking like they need some help, I'm going to take a little bit of concealer, but use it sparingly because your face is powdered. And sometimes concealer does not play nicely on top of powder. So I'm just going to take the tiniest little bit of this concealer, and it's the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Away Liquid Concealer, which is very forgiving, and just dab a tiny bit on my nose, because that's where things have rubbed off, and a tiny bit on the inside of my eyes. I already have product under my eyes. Piling on more will just make me look old, but I want to just brighten up a little bit and look less tired, and I'll put a little dab on my chin. And that's it. Very, very, very minimal, because again, adding more layers of product will just make me look older and cakey, and it's not very nice. So we're going to take the same beauty blender and bop. And we're just going for the tiniest little bit of coverage. Just a little bit. Really take your time to blend properly and really work it into the skin. And we look a little bit awake. Okay, so that's done. Next step is to take a brush, A sponge is easier to carry in your purse for sure, but it can pick up a little too much powder. So if you can carry a little brush, like I'm just using my regular size one, but Real Techniques and MAC make some pretty decent travel size brushes that might be easier to put in your purse. So just take a brush, work it into the powder that you like. I love the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish powder. It's the most flawless looking powder I've ever tried. It's very blurring, and what you want for a look like this is a powder that's blurring. Not too much coverage, because again, you don't want to layer and layer and layer product, because you can start to look like too much. But just really load up your brush and powder over that. And I used to just powder over my old foundation, and it looked better because it looked less shiny. Added a bit of coverage where things have rubbed off, but it really just sort of emphasized the areas where my foundation had shifted and caked up, and it didn't look nice. So we're gonna take this brush and just repowder the face. It adds a tiny bit of coverage, not very much, but mostly it just mattifies and sets the concealer that we just added. Et voila. I'm just gonna buff away the excess a little bit now that I've set I sort of press it in so it sticks to the liquid product. Now I'm buffing a little bit to just brush away the excess under the eyes, because that's where I look the oldest. And that, my friends, is it. It might be difficult to see on camera, but looking at my skin in the mirror, it doesn't look quite as good as if I had applied it freshly, and particularly it doesn't look quite as good under my eyes because things have dried out a little bit. Haven't figured that one out yet. Maybe I need to add some eye cream on top, not really sure. But the rest of my face looks as good, or at least very nearly as good, as if I had just applied my foundation. I could even take a little bit of blush if I had it with me and add it just to wake things up a little bit, but I would be much more comfortable going out for drinks looking like this than the way I looked 5 minutes ago. Anyway, really cool trick. In fact, after I discovered it, I thought, okay, well, I'm not gonna put my Everyday Beauty blender in my purse because that'll get gross. So I specifically bought a Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge, the one that comes with a little orange container, and put it in my purse so I can do this at work. Will I have time? Will I take the time to do it? Maybe not, but I like to have the option, especially if I'm going somewhere after work. Like, for example, I went to a networking Christmas party after work a few weeks ago. A classic instance where you don't have time to fix your makeup at home properly, but you want to look your best. And so this is a trick that I really recommend for that. I hope you found that helpful. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.